Hi, everyone. This is Lisa Abbott. I'm VP of Marketing at Wootrick, and I'm excited to be part of the Product-Led Summit today and talk to you about 5 ways to use Net Promoter Score to prioritize customer experience. I want to start with talking just a moment about Wootrick. We are a customer experience management platform. We take a modern approach to helping companies improve customer experience. That includes employing a modern feedback gathering strategy using Net Promoter Score, CSAT, and Customer Effort Score micro surveys, gathering lots of qualitative feedback and analyzing that in real time with machine learning, and then helping companies to take action and align behind actions that will protect and grow revenue. That happens through alerts, reporting, integrations. We're a full cycle voice of customer platform. However, we launched Wootrick 4 years ago as a Net Promoter Score survey tool. So Net Promoter Score is near and dear to our hearts, and I'm excited to be talking to you about NPS today. Okay, so here's how I'm going to spend my 30 minutes. Just talk a minute about customer experience and why that applying Net Promoter Score to customer experience is so important. Just touch on NPS for a minute and then dig into 5 tips and ways to use it. So, why are we talking customer experience, right? In this age of the customer, CX has really become an arms race. Customer-obsessed companies have the highest median 3-year growth, according to Forrester. And companies of all sizes are putting resources behind customer experience. But it's tough. We believe that whoever understands the customer best and can act to improve CX is the company that's going to win in the marketplace. So it's not just about getting a score from the customer. It's about using that voice of customer feedback to understand what our customers really want, need, care about, and then taking action. And customer-centric, product-led SaaS companies often use Net Promoter Score as the foundational CX metric in their customer experience program. So if you're just starting a CX program, this is a great place to be. What is NPS? If you're here on this talk, you probably know what it is. It's a rich topic. Let's just make sure we're on the same page. NPS is known as the loyalty metric. It's a simple question around the likelihood of recommending a product or service or brand to a friend or colleague. The question is standardized with a scale from 0 to 10, from not at all likely to extremely likely to recommend. And it's followed by an open-ended question, which is often customized, that asks the customer to explain their score in their own words. Then, based on their response, your customers are grouped into 3 different buckets. Promoters are 9s or 10s, passives are your 7s and 8s, and detractors have scored you a 0 to 6. So the actual Net Promoter Score, as a reminder, is the percentage of your promoters minus the percentage of your detractors. So your range for your score is from 100 to minus 100. And most of us in the technology and SaaS world are aiming for an NPS in the 40 to 60 range. So it's a lean, effective method to measure customer experience and to obtain open-ended feedback that can help guide product and business decisions to improve customer experience. So my 5 tips are all about how to make NPS actionable so that you can really get some traction and improve customer experience as a result of your program. And it's kind of hard to pick just 5 things, but here's the ones I'm going to focus on. Automation and keeping NPS simple, understanding the why behind your score, listening to more customers, bringing customers on the NPS journey with you, and then some ideas around taking action and sharing the data. So first up is automate and keep it simple. NPS programs have evolved beyond the old semi-annual survey campaign blasts and complex Excel sheets. This is a scenario where someone has to do the work of gearing up for an NPS campaign deciding who gets the survey and sending it out to a large list, then having to deal with analyzing all that data when it comes back in. It often ended up being manual, and it ends up being a little out of sync with customers and their experience with you. If any of this describes your current NPS program, automation is your friend. Here are a few bullet points about what automation can do for you. First of all, it's real time. Taking advantage of new systems and tools out there to help you automate this process means that you can do rolling surveys, which are really the norm now, either on a cadence that makes sense for your business. If you're a SaaS business, that's your product's evolving on a monthly or quarterly basis, having a customer or end user eligible to see an NPS survey every 90 days can make sense. Or you can go an event-triggered route that captures feedback at customer journey points. But technology allows you to do this efficiently. So here, NPS is moving from a periodic check-in with your entire customer base to a daily or even weekly pulse that can keep you oriented to customer sentiment all the time. Another aspect of automated NPS is keeping it short and simple. Traditional surveys were long, and that hurts response rates. So what's unique about an automated approach is that NPS is not one of 10 questions that you're hitting your customer with. You're always going to have other opportunities to ask for deeper insights. But the idea here with NPS is that you want to get as many responses as you can so that you can be proactive, close the loop with your customers, and start deeper conversations from there. Another thing about automation is that it lets you capture customer attributes in a way that enables more meaningful analysis. So if you think about the ways NPS programs were run before, there's still some work to do once you connect all the dots between the responses that your users give you and traits about those customers. So be it the various pricing plans that they might be on, or other ways that you segment them within your company, took a lot of resources, and sometimes that piece didn't happen at all. So finally, when NPS is automated, it can often be easily aggregated with other data, behavioral data like engagement, and that can help illuminate, what's going on behind the score or behind the engagement data. So the net result of automation and keeping it simple is that you're seeing higher response rates. Your data is more relevant and timely, and the results that are coming in are more accessible and actionable to you as a team. So I just want to show you what this could possibly look like in a modern automated platform. Lots of different tools at your disposal right from the beginning of your NPS program. And I've talked about some of these, and you can see some of them come to life here. You've got simple responses, you've got easy accessibility to the score and the feedback, and you've got some interesting opportunities to do things like automate the categorization of qualitative feedback. That's always been a tough one, to be able to get insights out of the qualitative really quickly. Another thing is understanding the why behind your score, and the first step there is often segmenting your NPS by your business drivers. Here's some examples you can see here where responses are enriched with user attributes. So you've got the ability to segment, filter, and do some slicing and dicing to help you analyze NPS scores by groups, by journey points that are important to your business. This really sets you up for analysis and the ability to help you prioritize the most meaningful actions you can take to improve CX and for whom. You can imagine that the folks that are on your free plan, your freemium plan, what they have to say is going to be very different than what an enterprise customer is going to say, and you might want to prioritize one of those groups over another when you're looking at resources within the company, within the product team, within the customer success team and support team, and so forth. And that kind of segmentation will help you do just that. Okay, we believe it's important to hear from more customers. You really want to, the best way to do this is to leverage channels to maximize those response rates. The key question here is, where do your customers like to engage with you? Where do your customers like to engage with you? Some of you have web applications, some of you have mobile apps, maybe you communicate using intercom. And for some businesses, SMS is a way that they're communicating with their customers, and there's always the email inbox. And maybe you're communicating in different channels depending on where the customer is in their journey with you. So to boost response rates and hear from more customers, you want to find the right place to survey your customers, when and where they're likely to engage with you. So the example I have here in this green table is one of enterprise SaaS. Just taking a look at two different types of customers, users that are engaging with your product. You've got your buyer, your decision maker. They may not be in your product every day. There's someone who signs off on a contract, but they're not a regular user of the product. So for them, probably the best place to survey them is via email. And you can think about what the right time to do that is. Usually a cadence works. Journey points can also make a lot of sense, particularly maybe it's at the end of an onboarding experience, or maybe 3 to 6 months before renewal. And then you have stakeholders that are active users. They're inside your product, logging in all the time. So that lends itself to considering a different kind of NPS survey strategy to get their feedback. You might want to use an in-app survey inside your web or your mobile application. It's going to yield higher response rates than trying to get them in their inbox. So this is just about being more flexible to adapt to the needs and expectations of your customers, making the effort to ask the NPS question, the channel where they're most receptive to communicating with you. So if you haven't really considered what communication channels are best for different user groups, incorporating that into your customer feedback strategy is an opportunity. And the net result is going to be higher response rates and just hearing from more people. And that's going to give you better information to guide your decisions about CX improvement. The next tip, I guess, is bringing customers along on your NPS journey. This is something that we see, it's neat with NPS SaaS platforms, voice of customer SaaS platforms. It's super easy to get started now. Systems allow you to quickly get surveys out to customers and get that feedback rolling in. But if you're really committing to the NPS system, you're committing to closing the loop with customers. And that loop even starts before the first survey goes out. You want to educate your customers on your vision. One thing that can be very successful to do is upfront education about NPS during onboarding. It can be part of training, or as simple as sending out an email, a newsletter, or in a blog post that just shares your vision for your NPS program and how you're going to be using customer feedback. And you don't have to be launching an NPS program to do this. It can be something that you can reinforce even if you have an existing program. But there's value in letting people know what you're up to, why you're doing these surveys, and what they might see from you as a result of their input. That way, when a survey shows up, they're much more connected to the concept and more likely to respond. So communication, we think it should come from someone pretty senior in the company, maybe even the CEO, to say, hey, this is something we really care about. And the time you're taking to give us feedback, it's going to improve your experience of our product. We're really going to be listening here. So the net result is that customers are going to be more engaged. And engagement means they're more likely to give you meaningful feedback, because at the end of the day, we all want not just the score, but those rich, open-ended comments. And if they know what you're up to and how much you value customer feedback, it's going to encourage them to put those thoughts down in that open-ended feedback box. So another aspect of bringing your customers along in what you do is what happens post-survey. Everybody needs to have a sustainable follow-up strategy so that managing an NPS program doesn't get overwhelming. And it can start to feel a little bit overwhelming if you think about all this survey feedback coming in. But you don't want to be sending out surveys and then not be able to get back in touch with customers. Closing that loop helps the customer know that their feedback was heard, and that's so important because that's a key component of the customer experience of your company culture. One of the benefits of using an automated program and having an ongoing pulse is that you're already more able to manage the flow of feedback. It's not coming all at once, twice a year. And so as a CX leader, you're not getting all the responses at once. You're getting them over time. It's easy to manage more effectively, ensure that responses are getting the right kind of follow-up. For closing the loop to be sustainable, it's helpful to think in terms of high touch, medium touch, and low touch approaches based on the customer base and the relationships that you have. So I've outlined here what we've seen to be very effective approaches across some of these different strategies. So in this green box here, you can see we start with high touch. With enterprise buyers, immediately after feedback, saying thank you, probing for additional details. The owner here is probably going to be an account manager or some senior leader in the companies. Some companies will actually do executive callbacks or at least some kind of personal touch email to respond to enterprise folks. And then, if there are concerns raised in the conversations and in the survey feedback, managing those concerns super quickly and efficiently before they become bigger problems. And I think most people think, I have to respond to each and every customer. And we naturally think about that high touch approach, right? Teams really, though, don't have the bandwidth to sustain that. So these medium and low touch avenues give you an opportunity to be better connected with the customer base, making sure everybody still gets a touch, but much more manageably. So in this medium touch approach, usually this is often still managed by a customer success manager or sometimes by support. And here we're talking about closing the loop with auto-triggered emails. These can be set up to fire right after survey feedback comes in. And your email can be customized by the different types of NPS survey responses that you get from customers. So, for example, you may have a customer that leaves a score but doesn't leave feedback. You can take the opportunity to trigger email follow-up that encourages them and ask them just for some more details. Or you might just choose to focus on different camps, promoters, for example, driving them to a referral link or encouraging them to write a review. And with detractors, this is one obviously where you would want to make sure that there's immediate routing to support to probe on the issues, so you don't end up with some latent problem that comes back to bite you. And again, integrations between systems and tools out there do a really great job of making sure that that detractor feedback and NPS feedback in general can get into your support systems right away. And then for passives, there isn't a huge consensus on how to handle passives, but oftentimes just taking a moment to auto-trigger a message that asks something like, what could we do to make you love us? Or just something to encourage that additional qualitative feedback so you can understand what's really driving that passive user to sit in the 7s or 8s. And then lastly, this low touch approach is simply sharing out to your customer base what you've been learning over the course of your NPS journey. You've taken the time to educate them up front. So, close the loop on what feedback you're hearing and what you're planning to do about it or what you've done about it. We see companies that look across all the qualitative comments and identify maybe 3 key priorities they're going to focus on based on that customer feedback, and they communicate that in an email newsletter, or they put that in a blog post. And that can be enough. It's key to just consistently be sharing out progress, making it very clear which of those elements are coming directly from comments of customers. It's a way to do it. But in the end, then you're just going to end up with a plan. Once you have that sustainable plan in place, it's going to help you allocate your human resources by the highest return and still ensure that every customer, every user is hearing back from you in some way. And finally, number 5, is about taking action and sharing. And we talked about closing the loop with customers. This is about closing the loop inside your organization, and it's just as important. NPS is ultimately a cross-functional effort. So you can be the hero, whether you sit in customer success or product, or you're the CEO. You have the opportunity to champion the customer here. You can set up the cross-functional process and rally the organization. And one approach is to create or participate in a cross-functional NPS tiger team. Sometimes this can be easier to do in smaller companies where everyone's still close to the customer. But at larger organizations, if you've got someone in product, someone from marketing, someone from success, and someone from support, all getting in together in a room, once a quarter even, and reviewing what customers are saying. Talk about the next steps and the actions you're going to take. You're going to have each of those teams aligned and focused on Net Promoter Score and on improving customer experience. And this team approach, while it can seem like an intensive thing to do, is super valuable, just to make sure you're leveraging all the way that feedback can drive the organization forward, can drive customer experience. So along with that comes giving everyone visibility into NPS data right in the system that they use. And modern tools do make this easy. We're in an age where all of our systems can and should talk to each other. There's no reason for NPS data to only live with the success team on an account record or with the product team. And there's every reason for that data to be everywhere where each team is viewing customer information. So if you're using a support platform like Intercom, the data should be going into support as well to give context for those conversations and cases. If marketing is using a CRM platform like HubSpot, with NPS data in the platform, they can consider doing some segmented campaigns to get the most value out of those customer relationships. Everybody wants to get their data into Salesforce because that's just the big system of record. Sending NPS feedback directly into Slack is a great way to engage the product team. We've seen lots of our customers have success with that. It really keeps the product team, the engineers, close to the customer experience. Both, the wins and the challenges. But when data is getting into other systems, it's going to lead to rich new discussions. And lots of opportunities to keep CX front and center. When functional system integrations are there to help ensure that each team doesn't have to leave their system of record to understand NPS, it's a really big win. So that's really a goal here. Everybody should be able to view it where they're comfortable engaging with systems and data about the customer. Let's see. And I guess my last point on this that I jotted down was that whoever's the champion of the NPS program, you always think, okay, I'm going to pull together a formal report and present that. But sometimes, you often get the opportunity to do that. And NPS is often reported as part of an all-hands meeting or quarterly staff meeting. But sometimes, we just don't have the time to create formal reports. So getting information into systems can help ensure that valuable information is getting to folks in real time so they can do something with it. And, we just do this because we want to be more customer centric. It's not about the metric. It's about how can we enable collaboration and sharing internally to help reinforce a company culture that's more in tune with the customer. This is the way to go. Okay, so these are my 5 tips. Automation, keeping it simple, making sure you're segmenting so you're understanding the why behind your score, looking at ways to hear from more customers, and that can be, looking at the right channel where you're asking for feedback, making sure you're bringing customers on the NPS journey, both in educating them about how important customer feedback is to you, and making sure you're closing the loop with them so they understand, what you're doing for them personally, and then the broader customer CX journey is shared with them as well. And then making sure you're taking action and sharing cross-functionally this data so the whole company is driving toward customer experience improvement. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope you're enjoying all of the talks here in the Product-Led Summit. I think that I have got something else to tell you. Yeah, I just want to let you know that Wootrick continues to have a freemium plan for startups, and it's pretty darn robust. You can measure Net Promoter Score or CSAT or Customer Effort Score as long as you like. You just pay for additional features when you need them. But that freemium plan includes integrations with Intercom, Slack, and HubSpot. And you can sign up at wootrick.com/pricing. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at lisa@wootrick. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.